Hello, my name is Maria Fernanda, and I'm the host of IOScholarships Superheroes Podcast.
Easy, easy, so easy.
This podcast is only a 10-minute podcast that highlights the best kept secret of IO scholars, job recruiters, and community influencers. And most importantly, we want to provide you financial resources to go to college debt-free and become financially savvy.
Yes, and I like the piece of advice that you gave, especially in terms of like having that willpower of continuing applying. And last year, to give you an idea, $100 million were wasted because students didn't apply for scholarship. So awareness is key. And actually, as you mentioned, a lot of our IO scholars, they have good GPAs, but on top of that, they have a story to tell. And sometimes the winners are the one based on the scholarship committee, the one that persevere through challenges more than the great grades. I mean, it's great to have a very high, grade. However, I believe that the stories of perseverance, resilience are very powerful to convey in an essay.
No, yeah, I totally agree.
So tell us, you're a 4-time hackathon winner. So what's the craziest, funniest, and most unexpected thing that happened during a hackathon?
So yes, so for those, of course, that don't know, hackathon is basically a competition where, you do it in a weekend, sometimes even less, so 24, 48 hours to build a project from scratch with a team and present it in front of judges. And for me, I think that my craziest experience was when I attended, there was a hackathon that was going on in Yale, and that was in person. And I think that same Saturday, I had sort of like another event with another organization, and I was like, you know what, I can still make it to the Yale hackathon. I hopped on a bus. It was like 8 p.m. I arrived there around 11 p.m. Again, just the setting, just being, again, that adventurous, spontaneous person that, I've always been. And again, it's not something that I've always sort of like been there to do, but my own risk of, hey, this is an opportunity. Let me take it. Let me go take advantage of it. And again, one of my friends was there. He picked me up, and we started to get to work real fast. So from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m., we were just hacking the entire night, and again, just coming up with something from very from scraps to, again, presenting sort of like a full-fledged project or even a prototype. I think that especially the adrenaline, the rush, just the amazing sort of like network that you got to meet in the space, because again, everybody's awake. So there's a lot of young, ambitious 18, 19, 20-year-olds who are just building a lot of crazy things during that time. And again, there's so much snacks. There's like it's sort of like a party for nerds, because again, you can just feel the vibrancy. And for me, sort of like those hackathons have always been one of the things I advocate for people in technology to do, because you don't get to meet that's a place where, again, the most ambitious kids get to meet. And again, from like making a prototype to submission, to finally presenting and making the judges feel the pain of the person you've built before you showed them the solution. It's about, again, telling a story, giving it to a human face, and finally showing the demo for something that you've already sort of like hooked them with. So it's a lot of feelings that go throughout a hackathon. Sometimes you go from being so excited to being so pressured, but then that relief again. And again, it's just very exciting seeing like a lot of the projects that come out of it, because again, there are ideas that come out in 24 hours, 48 hours. And again, that is something, if one day, someone can create something amazing, imagine what they can create again, during months, years, decades.
Wow. So imposter syndrome, is real for students. Have you experienced it? And what do you do when, self-doubt start creeping in?
Visit IO Scholarships, as we have access to thousands of STEM scholarships based on your unique ethnic background, waiting for you today. Some of them only require 2.5 GPA and no essay. Remember, the more you apply, the more chances you have to win. Apply today.
I think that that used to be a very big challenge of mine, and I think that that came from, again, the insecurity that a lot of people grow up with, especially a lot of first-gen students, low income, because you start to see, again, more people as more qualified than you. And of course, that's probably why people sometimes, miss out on opportunities, or they don't apply to the scholarship that they think that you can get, because again, sometimes the limitations is, people think that you have to have a perfect GPA, you have to have 20 different activities, or probably, a super sad story polished to perfection. And I think that that's not, of course, that's not how it works, because I used to think the same thing. I'll see an application, talk to myself out of it before I even read the requirements, and just move on. But the truth is that, again, with most opportunities, is that it's someone looking at your story with a reason. And I think with a reason comes, again, that sort of like voice that people sometimes underestimate, that, hey, someone needs it more than me. But it's not true, because there's sort of like that guilt that, again, sort of like is stealing a lot of students away from, from someone who actually deserves it. But of course, with many things, imposter syndrome is, very sneaky. It tends to dress up in many different ways. And sometimes it's humble, sometimes it enacts fears in people. But at the end of the day, I think that how I was able to really conquer it is by, again, there has to be so much belief in you. Like growing up, again, you have to believe in what you went through, because no one knows yourself more than than yourself. And how you push back on all of it, again, it's up to you. And again, your decisions, your path, your story, really believing a lot in yourself. Because I think that, again, if you don't believe in yourself, go out there and get into communities, into people that really believe in you. And that belief in yourself is going to build up even more, to a point that, again, you're unbreakable, because again, you've gone through so much hardships. And it's not something that, again, the day of tomorrow is going to be more challenging than it was today. And again, it's something that you yourself have to qualify in order to just say, hey, I'm allowed to be in the same position as this person, because they worked hard, they committed to it, and they were disciplined enough. So it's something, again, that is not just something that comes with effort, but of course, with time, with days, with just, again, the brutality of being of having the willing to show up. Because again, opportunities are out there, and it doesn't mean that you're not qualified enough, but it just takes a little bit leave, either in someone or in yourself, to say, hey, I can do this, so might as well go chase for it.
That's true. So I guess fast forward, what impact do you make for first generation students, do you hope, no? And for the next generation of innovators?
What I want to sort of like have the greatest impact is just on people. I think that we have never been in a sort of like in a space where, again, anybody can become anything. Again, they can chase their dreams, they can move forward, they can, again, with the access of technology, with the access of knowledge everywhere, it's basically become bound free to learn anything, become anyone, go out there, because the opportunities, again, are not limited, the knowledge is not limited. It's about, again, the willingness. And I think that for first generation students, as there's more and more of us every year, it means that, again, we have to uphold each other, not just ourselves, but as a community that we are. So in reality, it's about everybody as a whole. It's about one for all, not all for one. So one of my greatest things, hopefully, is to just make people realize that, again, no matter what your path is, no matter if you've gone to community college, no matter if you dropped out but then went back to school, no matter if, again, you had a disability learning or mental health issue, that, again, it's, everybody shares a similar story. And, there's a lot of people out there, but sometimes I can be hard, because sometimes we think that it's just ourselves, but hey, there's a lot of people out there that are willing to become your friend, comrade, and associate. And I think that with that, sort of like knowing that there's people outside, it just makes you more curious to, hey, I want to meet people like myself. I want to meet people who look like me, who speak like me, who probably have gone through the same issues. And again, with that, just knowing that there's a community out there, making it even bigger, making it even more explosive, our impact has to, speak for itself. Because at some point, actions speak for themselves. So if we can get to a point where first-gen students are, again, taking more action on themselves and, keep speaking up for themselves, keep advocating for themselves, then we can definitely create sort of like a community, or even again a nation that again is not bounded by barriers, but again by just an unforgetful of opportunity.
Well, thank you so much, Jose, for joining us today and sharing your incredible story, wisdom, and heart with our community. And to everyone listening, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, share this episode, and join us next time for another inspiring conversation with the innovators of the future. Thank you so much, Jose.